ahead and hit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for being here. So welcome to our electric infrastructure webinar. I'm Amy Hodges. I'm a principal air quality planner with the North Central Texas Council of Governments and part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Clean Cities Coalition. And that is hosted within the Council of Governments. Lori Clark is our Clean Cities coordinator. We are a local Clean Cities coalition that's part of the nationwide Department of Energy's Clean Cities program. And we partner with public and private fleets to reduce their energy impact and increase fleet efficiency. So I just want to take a quick look at today's agenda. Jared Wright and Savana Nance, who are also air quality planners here at the Council of Governments and with Dallas-Fort Worth Clean Cities, we will all start things off with a brief overview, and then we will have ChargePoint, Freewire, EVGo and Blink charging, and last but not least, Oncor electric delivery, giving presentations. And then hopefully at the end, we'll have a good 10 minutes for some Q&A. So I just wanted to emphasize the importance of reducing tailpipe emissions for North Texas. 10 of our 16 counties in our region do not meet federal standard for ground level ozone. So as shown on this chart, as of the end of 2020, we have not yet met the 2008 standard, which is 75 parts per billion, and that's that blue line on the chart. We certainly have not met the 2015 standard, which is 70 parts per billion. So a quick look at the number of electric vehicles in North Texas. There are over 16,000 EVs. We've seen an average annual growth rate over the last 5 years of over 30%, with EVs making up less than 1% of all vehicles. These numbers are based on registration data. And if you go to the Electric Vehicle North Texas webpage, and that URL is here on this slide, you'll find a very cool interactive online tool where you can see things like how many EVs are in your city or your county or zip code. And you can even see the makes and the models. So this is a tool that may help you do some public infrastructure planning. And as part of our mission as a Clean Cities Coalition, every year we collect data from the fleets in the region. So we ask fleets what topics and trainings, et cetera, they're interested in. And of the 52 fleets that turned in a survey, 33 expressed interest in EVs and EV infrastructure. So hence the webinar we're hosting today. We also learned there are 92 EVs across 16 of those fleets, with 23 of those EVs having been acquired in 2020. And as far as infrastructure, of the 52 reporting fleets, there's 28 level 1 chargers, 228 level 2 chargers, and 10 DC fast chargers, with 19 of those level 2 chargers having been installed in 2020. On this slide, we're showing the commitment by the major OEMs as far as their commitment to offering electric vehicle models. I'm not going to take the time to go through these in detail, but just for instance, Honda, they're predicting that 2/3 of their sales will be electric by 2030, and that every car in their lineup will be either an EV or a hybrid by 2022. So definitely things are moving toward in that electrification direction. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jared Wright.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Amy. So we just want to give you all an overview of the different levels of charging and types of EV chargers that are available. So you can see here, the first is level 1 charging, which will charge at about 2 to 5 miles per hour. And this is a bit slower and ideal for maybe plug-in hybrids, or for any dedicated EVs may end up needing a faster charger, where you get into level 2 charging, which can start around low level 2 at about 2.5 kilowatts and go all the way up to 22 kilowatts, with a typical level 2 charger being about 7.2 kilowatts. So because of that range, it'll charge about 12 to 60 miles per hour, And then once you get into the higher power level 2 charging at 22 kilowatts, that may increase the installation cost of infrastructure. And then lastly, there's DC fast charging, which also has a much faster range of about 180 to 240 miles per hour of charging. And these have the highest installation costs. Next slide, please. And there are also networked or non-network chargers. So a network charger will have additional subscription costs, either monthly or yearly, and then it will add additional features like summary reports, real-time network dashboard of the chargers, and it can have smart demand response to avoid charging during on-peak times. And then for the actual person charging their vehicle, it may have payment options, reservations for the charging spot, and then like messaging when the charging spot is open. And you can kind of see on the diagram on the right the differences between a network and non-network charger. A network charger will add the features for self-service and internet connections and cloud services, and maybe some payment processing. Whereas a non-network charger simply connects the charger to the EV from the utility meter, and it won't have any additional subscription cost. It just maintains safe EV charging without any of those features. Next slide, please. And so there are a few other charging technologies we want to go over with y'all. Some chargers may utilize onboard storage, and so these are batteries built into the charger that will allow for faster charging, or it may allow for some charging in the event of a power outage. And so these are just simply built into the charger. And there's also mobile charging, which is basically the same thing, but on a mobile sort of portable battery pack. And this will allow for emergency charging of EVs. Say there's a stranded EV, you'll be able to charge it and quickly move this little apparatus around without any additional infrastructure. And then lastly, there's also some solar charging options. And so this allows you to charge completely off the grid. This will increase resiliency, and this can integrate with other charger brands. And it may also have some sort of onboard storage component. And so this, again, can increase resiliency and increase sustainability in the event of a power outage. Next slide. And then also we want to highlight some EVs available now and some that are available in the future for y'all. And we just chose some brands here to represent segments that are available. None of these are endorsed by the Council of Governments or Dallas-Fort Worth Clean Cities. You can kind of see the ranges here. Most EVs now have a range of about 200 miles or more, especially in the light duty segment where ranges are average about 250 miles now. And you can also see just how far EVs have come. There's many segments available. We've all heard about the Ford F-150 Lightning. That will be available next year. And some other pickups are coming online soon, as well as vans. And there are also EV box trucks, refuse trucks, school buses, as well as Class 8 tractors and trucks. And we also highlight here some vehicles that are available through our Dallas-Fort Worth Try and Drive program, which Savana can give you some more details about.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. So we just wanted to quickly let you guys know about our Dallas-Fort Worth Clean Cities Try and Drive Alternative program. The goal of this program is to connect fleets and providers or OEMs who have clean vehicle technologies that are available for extended test drives. A clean vehicle technology can be anything such as an electric vehicle, a telematics system, or an alternative fuel refueling station. And the test drives can be anywhere from 1 day to 30 days. As you saw on the previous slide, we do have several EVs available, and we think it's a great opportunity for fleets to get to have a lot of hands-on experience with a technology before deciding to purchase it and implement it into the fleet. So you guys can really make sure that it meets all your needs and get your employees comfortable with it. So if you're interested, you can go to the Try and Drive webpage, which is on the slide, and there's a whole directory of everything we offer, and then there's a short survey you'll fill out. And if you fill it out, then we can connect you with those providers and you can start borrowing those. Next slide, please. And then we're going to quickly go over some funding opportunities that are available, as we usually do. So currently open is the Texas Volkswagen Level 2 charging rebate. As you guys can see, there's up to $2,500 per charger available for funding, and that's for workplace, multi-unit dwelling, or public charging. And there's about 10 million left in funding, so there's quite a bit left, and the deadline is September 9th. So if you or your entity is interested, please go ahead and apply. Later this year, also through the Texas Volkswagen Environmental Mitigation Program, there's going to be the DC fast charging rebate, probably early fall, but we're expecting it to have a 70% funding for public charging and 60% for workplace or multi-unit dwelling charging. A new program that's going to be opening hopefully any day now, they said June 2021, is through the State Energy Conservation Office, or SECO, and it's going to be for local or county government EV charging station installation. They haven't given any details about the funding yet, but we think it's going to be great because most of the people on the call are from local governments, and this is going to be open only to you guys. And then the final program is through the TCEQ's TERP program. It's been around for a while. It's the Alternative Fueling Facilities Program, and up to 50% of the costs of eligible costs will be awarded through that with a maximum amount of $600,000. And it's going to be for any fueling, EVSE included. And just keep in mind that any project that's open to the public is going to be prioritized before behind the fence charging. So to keep up to date with everything that is available to you guys, please go to the AQ funding, which is linked at the bottom of the page. You can subscribe to our e-blasts, and then as well as just regularly check it. We update it all the time whenever something's open. Next slide. And then the final slide that we're going to briefly go over is going to be the resources slide. So we went ahead and put together some information for you guys, and we're going to send out this slide deck so you'll have access to all of these. The first thing is the electric vehicle charger selection guide. And this was put together by the Alternative Fuel Data Center. And it's a really great resource just over about EVSE in general. So it's going to have the information Jared discussed about the different charging levels and then their typical costs. It's going to have some information about networked and non-networked chargers, and then as well as the considerations that you guys need to think about whenever you're implementing a new chargers. The other thing we wanted to highlight is the alternative fuel station locator. It's a great way for you to be able to ensure you're going to have charging or alternative fueling available to you if you have a long trip. So you can use that, put in your destination, and then select what kind of station you need, and it'll show you on the way all of the stations in that area. And then this is also available in an app on your phone, so really easy, convenient for fleets that are on the go. As I spoke about earlier, the try and drive alternative is linked for you guys to check out all the vehicles that are available for extended test drives. We also have the DOE electrification report available, and then the electric vehicle North Texas EV registration tool that Amy spoke about earlier. You can use this tool to put in a zip code to see all the EVs in your area and like how many there are, and as well as EV totals for Texas. So it's good to kind of project what the need is in your area. And then finally, the AQ funding webpage where you can go and see all of the open funding. And then we also have a list of funding that's expected in the future that you guys can access and start planning for whenever you're ready to make your purchase. Next slide. And this is going to be the contact information for myself, Amy, and Jared. Please feel welcome to reach out to any of us with any questions, and we are going to hand it off to Michael at ChargePoint.
Can everyone see the ChargePoint slide?
No.
Not yet.
No, you cannot see?
No.
Okay, sorry. Let me reshare. And now?
Yep. You're good.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Savannah. Just wanted to start off by saying thank you to the host here for having ChargePoint on. I am Mike Thigpen. I'm the new account executive for the state of Texas with ChargePoint. So again, extremely excited to be here presenting for you today. Today's presentation, of course, is going to be focused on fleet. Basically, having those discussions early on, we've got some interest. We'd like to know more to, stations in the ground and, the full scale of the stations being in the ground and being utilized by the fleet departments. Next slide, Amy. So a little bit more about ChargePoint. ChargePoint at a glance, we've been around since 2007. We're headquartered in Silicon Valley. We've got over 850 employees, of which about 250 of those are engineers. So we feel that's important because we like to put a lot of resources, in our products, our hardware and software. So I always like to hit that we do invest in our engineering. We currently today we are basically deployed in over 750 fleets worldwide. Next slide, please. So next, I just want to go over what different hardware solutions that ChargePoint has to offer for fleets. Next slide. So here's an overview of the products that ChargePoint has to offer. We've got multiple level 2 and a couple of level 3 options. Everything from our home residential product on the far left called the Home Flex, all the way up to our Express Plus ultra fast DC station that is going to be coming available this summer to early access fleet customers of ours. So we're really excited about getting that bigger product out right now. Next slide, please. So I like to show this slide because I think it showcases the different applications for fleet that ChargePoint has to offer. Again, kind of referencing the products that I just mentioned. Over on the second to right, we've got the home product that is our residential product. So if there are employees within your fleet who take the vehicles home at night and need to charge, they've got the capability of taking those fleet vehicles home, utilizing these home chargers, and then the fleet managers will be able to utilize the software to track that usage for the fleet vehicle. So that's extremely helpful, again, for applications where you've got drivers that are taking vehicles home. Over here on the far left, we do offer, of course, traditional depot charging that we call behind the fence. So if you've got dedicated vehicles that are being parked in a garage or a lot, we of course have products that we can utilize there for, again, behind the fence depot charging, which would be our CPF 50 product. Next, I kind of like to bring this up. We've seen from some customers around the nation that they're using a mixed use application. And what I mean by that is that they've got charging stations in different areas, such as public libraries or public parking garages, where they are making it open to the public from, say, normal business hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then closing those stations to the ChargePoint network and allowing it to only charge fleet vehicles after hours. So that's a really nice feature as well, again, for cities and fleet managers who are looking to maybe have some public use along with fleet on their charging solutions. And in that application, we offer both level 2 and level 3 charging options. Last but not least, certainly there could be a situation, where a vehicle maybe didn't get charged overnight or they've got to do a longer road trip. The beauty of utilizing the fleet stations and program through ChargePoint is that you've got the capability of charging on any station that's open to the public on the ChargePoint network, even if it's not your cities. And again, going back to my reference to the home product, the driver would have the capability of utilizing a fleet card so that the fleet manager could track the overall usage of electricity for that particular vehicle. Next slide, please, Amy. Next, I wanted to go over just, really what sets ChargePoint apart from other competitors, perhaps. We've got some really great software. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of what ChargePoint offers. So going back to earlier in the call, they had mentioned network versus non-network stations. So ChargePoint sells only network stations. And so our hardware is amazing. We've got an in-house testing facility for all of our hardware. But what really sets us apart is that we've got a very robust software system for the station owners. So this is an overview of that. Our stations are, connect to the cloud service software via a mobile connection. And so this is just a slide that kind of highlights some of the key benefits of utilizing ChargePoint network stations. So some important ones here that stand out to me for fleet are our energy management capabilities. So with ChargePoint, through our software, we've got the capability to basically oversubscribe some existing infrastructure. What I mean by that is, when I say infrastructure, I mean your electrical panel capacity that you've currently got on site, which can be very costly if you've got to go and add a lot of that. So we can manage, we've got basically 3 different levels of infrastructure power management. We can do it at the circuit level in the panel. We can do it at the panel level. And then we can also do it at the transformer level. And again, it really just allows, a fleet manager, a city, or, public fleet to go in and basically add chargers and potentially oversubscribe on an electrical panel or a site that would otherwise not be able to if they did not have this capability to do that with software. Access control, kind of back to my point of, if you had a fleet driver that was away from your stations that the city or public fleet owned, you've got the capability to, offer access to those drivers to charge and public stations that are open to the ChargePoint network drivers. You've also got the capability with access control to essentially, in a mixed use application, you've got the capability of limiting who can charge and when. So back to the example of mixed use, you've got a station that's sitting at a library or, a public parking area, and you want to have it open to the public at certain times of the day or certain hours of the day, or maybe just the weekend. You've got the capability through access control to, pick and choose who can use it, essentially. And then last but not least, API integration. And on my next slide, I'll kind of go over some of the ones we partner with already that I'm sure some of you folks already know. Next slide, Amy, please. So here, going on that last point from the last slide, API integration. So this is a list of current platforms that we integrate with through API integration. And we've got tons of fleet operators that are utilizing these systems already for their EVs that they've deployed. Next slide, Amy. And then last but not least, I just kind of wanted to go over, ChargePoint has hardware to offer on the station side. We've got software to offer as well. And then last but not least, we've got the capability of helping the overall project of, electrifying your fleet. Next slide, Amy. And this slide does that. So essentially, this just tells you that, hey, ChargePoint's here as a partner to you all. Should you choose us, we can provide a full turnkey install from proof of concept to stations in the ground and activated, followed up by training both to your EV drivers and then, of course, to your fleet personnel who would oversee the network operating platform. And that's all I got. Well, I think there's one more slide, Amy, with my contact info. So outside of that, the only thing that I'd wanted to mention, I'd be happy to put it in the chat here, is that ChargePoint's offering a fleet charging assessment. So it's just a link you can go to. And kind of going back to my first slide about ChargePoint, we've got a lot of solutions engineers that would be happy to take a look again at, if you're looking to add EVs, how many EVs you're looking to add and the locations and what have you. Totally free, would love to, have a conversation and help you figure out how you can electrify your fleets.
Thanks, Mike. Next up, I believe it is it Freewire?
Yes, I think so.
Dave, take it away.
Hey, everyone. Dave Aasheim here with Freewire. And today I just wanted to provide a high-level overview of Freewire's current products and give you a glimpse into some upcoming products that'll provide some resiliency for hosts and fleets and drivers that need to charge in normal and sometimes in adverse circumstances. So a bit about Freewire, the Mobi Gen and the Mobi EV, maybe you've seen these stations. That's how we got our start in 2014. These are 80 kilowatt hour mobile battery chargers that really charge anything that plugs in. And then the charger you see on the right is the Boost, and we introduced that in 2020. So we've got a battery storage component in all of our charging stations, and I'll go into some details in some upcoming slides. So this is the Mobi. We've got a lot of high-profile customers in various verticals that have provided proof of concept for the Mobis. We can charge anything that plugs in, as I mentioned, electric vehicles, fleets with dealerships, regular fleets, emergency lighting, food trucks, audio visual for concerts or events, and then emergency equipment. So this is a great power source for new fleets that haven't quite figured out what they want to do with their infrastructure, if they need to have a mobile source, or even fleets that have existing infrastructure and they need to complement it with a mobile option for charging vehicles. A nice thing about the Mobi EV is that there's no permitting that's necessary for that. So if you've got some vehicles that are coming in and you haven't figured out the charging solution, the Mobi's a good quick solution for you. The Boost here is what we're really promoting now. We're really excited with this product. It is a 160 kilowatt hour battery DC fast charger. The heart and soul of the Boost is shown in the bottom portion. This is a proprietary battery pack, and then we've got a power converter shown on top there. This is UL listed as of October of last year, Buy America compliant, which is nice and checks off a lot of boxes for a lot of projects. And we have we source the batteries from the same company that the Nissan Leafs and the Nissan Arias get their vehicle batteries through Envision in Tennessee. So Freewire has been around for 7 years now, based in San Francisco. We've got several proprietary patents in place and a lot of great customer relations in our past 7 years, and that's led to some great high-profile investors. British Petroleum is one of our larger investors, and we've got some nice project that's coming up next quarter and in the ensuing quarters, where we're going to be deploying about 700 of these Boost stations domestically in the United States as well as in the United Kingdom. ABB is another investor. They do electrical manufacturing on large scale. They also manufacture electric vehicle charging stations. So it's nice to know that really a competitor takes notice of our innovation and have invested in our company. And then we've got some vehicle manufacturers, the likes of Volvo and some other investors as well. So excited for all these partnerships. So Boost is a little bit different than traditional fast chargers, and I like to use this slide to demonstrate that. Number one, it's a much lower cost of installation than traditional fast chargers. The Boost is really just recharging that 160 kilowatt hour battery. And to do that, all we need is low input power, either 208 volt or 240 volt. We do not need 480 volt like traditional fast chargers. You see the two connectors there. Two vehicles can charge at the same time, which is unique for DC fast chargers. We can set up the connectors if it's a fleet situation and you've got a standardized fleet. We can set them up with the same charger protocol. Maybe you've got a fleet of F-150s. Those will take the CCS connector. If you've got a mix of fleets, we can do one-in-one, a CCS and a CHAdeMO connector. And if you ever decide that you needed to swap it out, it's a field replaceable upgrade. We can change the connector out in the field to satisfy whatever is going to work best for your fleet. Again, because two cars can charge at the same time, it's a much smaller footprint than having to put two traditional fast chargers or multiple fast chargers, which typically only charge one vehicle at a time. We find faster deployment times for the Boost, again, because of the low power input requirements, less permitting requirements, less infrastructure, and it's just a quicker turnaround time for the Boost. And then lower operating costs in a lot of areas. This has built-in battery storage, which mitigates peak loads in the form of demand charges, which we'll talk about. If you're not familiar with demand charges, we'll discuss how the battery storage integrates into that. And then lastly, lower sunken costs. Again, this ties back to the low installation costs. If you ever need to relocate this for whatever reason, maybe you're putting this on a temporary parking lot, or your lease is done and you want to move the equipment to another property, it's less painful to do it with the Boost than it is with traditional fast chargers. So this is a busy slide, and I'll let you look at it. The headline on this slide, thanks to our marketing team, is that Freewire is at the center of three pretty powerful trends here. You've got charging infrastructure is what we're talking about today, but with our battery integration, we also provide energy services and then grid modernization. So we are able to allow the current grid to perform at a much higher rate with our chargers. Future resilient capabilities that we have with the Boost. We've got a product that's going to be available in the coming year that we call Grid Down. This is going to be great for evacuation routes. Should the power go out, the battery is going to be able to charge vehicles in emergency situations, and that's super important, especially in this part of the U.S. We're going to have bi-directional capabilities as well, and this is something that a lot of our customers are excited about. The battery is not only going to be able to power vehicles, but again, it'll be able to power other things, maybe your facilities, maybe your lights, and in some instances, storefronts that may keep the ice cream still cold with a DC fast charger in front that's also battery storage capability. And then last on our roadmap, we'll have microgrid capability, and that was mentioned in one of the earlier presenters. We'll be able to tie this with solar arrays and actually be able to do some vehicle to grid capabilities as well. So we're pretty excited with our roadmap. Where is Boost fitting in for our verticals? We're seeing a lot of interest in fleets. Again, sometimes where the fleets are stored, you don't necessarily have 480 volt power for fast charging. We can use the same power that your level 2 stations are using. Convenience stores and fueling centers also find this attractive for the same reason. A lot of them the stores are powered with 208 or 240 volt, so it's very easy to quickly put in an ultra high speed charger to complement the fueling bays that are available. Rural and remote locations, or just any location where 480 volt power is very expensive to bring in, or in some cases not available. The low power, we can extend the grid in a lot of different locations. States and locations that have demand charges, and we'll talk about demand charges. DC fast charging has really taken a different turn from the early days. The vehicles are charging at a much faster rate, and charging stations have the ability to charge at a much faster rate. And the dynamic of that, if you don't have anything helping you out, is a demand charge from the utility, which we hope to avoid. And so it offsets your operational costs. Pilot sites are great too. Again, as mentioned, set one of these down if it's a temporary location. If you need to move it, not a big deal to move it. And then locations where you need a small footprint. A nice visual, again, as I've already mentioned, the infrastructure that's necessary to power the Boost is very similar to a dual port level 2 station that takes 208 power and anywhere from 80 to 100 amps in most cases. That's all that we need to power the Boost charger, but it's going to give the driver experience the same as a supercharger, an ultra high speed charging experience. On average, 75 to 85% lower installation costs compared to traditional fast chargers, lower ongoing costs, again, because you're not paying for the high demand charges that come with the high speed charging. And then if it's important to you, it's very efficient and very easy to deploy these. So deployment time is considerably less. And real quick, just another visual. I know I've mentioned it, but our marketing team does some good slides. So this is a nice representation of the installation costs associated with Boost. We tell people to budget around $25,000 to install a Boost. Anecdotally, I've seen installation costs $13,000, $15,000. So under $20,000, I think is realistic, but $25,000 is what we say to budget, and you won't likely go over that. Conversely, traditional fast chargers historically, and in my experience, I find that it's anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 per charger to install a traditional fast charger. Footprint compared to a dual port or a charging station that can charge 2 cars. This is an example of a location in California near our headquarters. You've got a transformer, some switch gear, and electrical panels that are powering 2 DC fast chargers. These can charge 2 electric vehicles. And subsequently, the boost charger right next to it can also charge 2 vehicles. Now, these guys kind of caught wind of and saw their electric bill and decided to add on to this. And this picture was just recently taken, but I think it really tells a pretty good story. So this is the same location taken a little bit further away, so that you can see the battery storage component that was just added to this DC fast charging site. Everything that you see on the right-hand side in red can do exactly what the boost station can do. We have 150 kW capability, charge 2 vehicles. That's exactly what this can do with a battery storage component. It's 25 times smaller footprint with the boost, as you can see, and the project cost is less than half with the boost charger. So really kind of Frankensteining this and putting it piece by piece with different components, where you've got a very easy solution with the boost charger. I'll quickly highlight and show you, what a demand charge does for high-speed vehicles and high-speed charging. The example here on the left, you see four electric vehicles that have a capability of charging at a high rate of speed. 100 kW is the easy math example here. So you've got the first vehicle that pulls in, and it's drawing 100 kW from the DC fast charger. It's pulling it directly from the grid. In Texas, demand charges are around $9 per kilowatt. And in this example, because this car was able to charge 100 kW, that's going to be a $900 demand charge on the monthly utility bill, where the cost, if this was a retail customer, they would probably charge about $15 to $20 for this amount of time to charge, 15 to 20 bucks for a $900 demand charge on their bill. Conversely, with the boost charger, we draw no more than 27 kW. That's all that we need to charge the battery. And we have a high output, again, 150 kW. So it's a great driver experience. It gets them in and out of the location, in and out of your fleet yard, in and out of your parking lot in a quicker time without any damage to your utility bill. Folks ask, okay, so it's got a battery associated with it. How many vehicles can it charge in a day? So we put together some models, and we'd like to talk to you if you've got some interest in finding out what your fleet needs are. But it's the boost is really meant to support 15 to 25 vehicles in an average day. Here's a high utilization model that's showing the blue line is showing the state of charge of the boost charger, and you've got represented in the gray pegs vehicles that are charging throughout the day. There's a high period of day during the midday where vehicles are coming back to top off so that they can finish their routes. But in this example, we've got 19 vehicles that are charging in this 18-hour day spread out. The boost charger never gets depleted fully. And in a fleet situation, you've got 2 options. You can shut it off when it goes to 10% state of charge and allow it to recharge, or we have bypass mode, where if it gets below 10%, it'll pull electricity off the grid at 20 kW. It'll still charge vehicles slightly faster than a level 2, but it won't strand any vehicles. So very vibrant. This is, again, showing what one boost can do. And if you've got a large fleet, and you think you're going to do a little bit more than this, we've got examples and customers that have put 2 and 3 and 4 of these boosts in there to support their fleets.
Dave, I'm sorry to interrupt. In the interest of time, can you wrap it up in about 15 seconds?
Yep. Yeah, sure will.
Thanks.
Yep. So then just showing some popular cars that are out there. Some of these may be your fleet cars. Boost as 150 kW, as I keep mentioning, capable of all the fleets and especially the trucks that are coming out. And then really wrapping it up quickly, one of the neat features that Boost has is it has an easy pathway for upgrading level 2 chargers. There's some antiquated level 2 chargers and DC fast chargers that you may be looking to upgrade, and we have some guidance to upgrade level 2 into a DC fast charger experience, and happy to provide that for you. So. If you have any questions on these, I'm happy to provide more details, and please contact me anytime. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. And next we have, I believe it's EVGo with Nikhita.
Hello. Let me know when you can see.
I can see.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. We are excited to be presenting to a Texas audience. EVGo's roots started in Texas. We were founded in 2010, born out of NRG, and our first charger went live in Houston, and we've been building our network ever since then. So I'm Nikhita Singh, and I will be your host for the next 12 minutes. I am a business development associate with EVGo. I've been here for about 2 months now, and I'm excited to be sharing our peace of mind fleet solutions with you today. We also have Molly Middaugh, our Director of Business Development, on the call today, and she'll be helping me field questions, which on that note, given the short format of the presentation, if you have questions that come up, please put them in the chat and we'll try to either answer them in the chat live or collect them and answer them at the end, just kind of depending on how the presentation is going. But with that, I'll get started. So to get started, EVGo is probably most well known for having the largest public fast charging network in the country. And we've been at the forefront of vehicle electrification for over 10 years. And so with that, we are leveraging a decade's worth of lessons learned, managing, maintaining, and growing a fast charging network. And we are putting all of that into our fleet offerings. And so the singular mission of our fleet business is to increase the pace and scale of transportation electrification nationwide by delivering the most reliable charging solutions and the best in class service. And so what that means is that, EVGo's fleet solutions include creating a charging ecosystem that best fits your fleet's needs. Not all your charging needs to happen behind the fence at a depot. You can extend your fleet's footprint with a combination of charging options. Starting with our public network. We own and operate the largest fast charging network in the country with over 800 locations and are expanding aggressively. Our operations are powered by 100% renewable energy, and we were the first charging station provider to do that. So you can introduce resiliency into your charging protocols and expand your fleet's range with access to our public network. A distributed network is the most resilient network you can build. We have dozens of chargers across Texas and plans to continue to build in the coming years. At the opposite end of that, we have the more traditional style depot charging solutions. These are turnkey solutions that range from offering low powered level 2 chargers all the way to high powered DC fast chargers rated from 50 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. And then we also offer a hybrid solution that's somewhere in between. It can provide charging to fleets essentially beyond your depot. These are dedicated turnkey sites that are designed to meet your operational needs and your cost considerations. It's a highly flexible option that can be used to extend the range of your fleet with the same reliability as a depot solution. And so at EVGo, relative to other providers, we stress the importance of a holistic approach to fleet electrification. Today, our bread and butter is to build, operate, and maintain a fast charging network. These skills and experiences translate well over into the world of fleet and have influenced how we've built out our turnkey solution. We value providing high uptimes to fleets to ensure that their operational needs are met. And then the only way for us to do that is to pair the right mix of hardware with the right software and networking and the right operations and maintenance offerings. And so our turnkey solution encompasses all parts displayed on this graphic. So starting at transition planning, our goal here is to help you figure out how to most effectively approach electrification in your fleet early on in your journey. And then with equipment provisioning, what sets us apart from other providers is that we are hardware agnostic. Our role with you is as a hardware specifier. And now why is that important? Well, for one, we'll match equipment to your operational needs. We offer hardware ranging from a 7.2 kilowatt rated level 2, 19.2 kilowatt rated level 2s, and like I said, 50 to 350 kilowatt rated DC fast chargers. We can find the right mix of hardware to fit both your operations and your budget. Second, it's important because by working with multiple different manufacturers, we can ensure that the best possible hardware is installed for your operational needs. We have a lab where we test and vet all our equipment and offerings, and we test multiple different manufacturers, both vehicle and hardware manufacturers. And we test them for performance and for interoperability. And lastly, by using multiple different vendors, we stay at the forefront of technological advances in the industry. We were the first to deploy a 350 kilowatt charger. We were the first to deploy power sharing chargers. And so we always strive to be able to provide customers with the best technology possible, and using multiple vendors has enabled us to do that. We highly encourage our fleet customers to take a vehicle and hardware agnostic approach. It keeps you from being committed and dependent on a single vendor. And so moving on, next with infrastructure deployment, we have over 10 years of experience deploying fast charging infrastructure, and we share that experience with our fleet customers. This includes everything from designing sites based on your vehicle specifications, your operational needs, to obtaining the necessary permits and power upgrades. Given the high power requirements, fast charging can be complicated to construct, especially coordinating with the utility. And so we have relationships with utilities all across Texas and can support you getting the power you need on site. Next, EVGo has smart charging solutions that are geared towards ensuring that your fleet vehicles are charged and ready to go at the lowest possible cost. It includes energy management to account for electricity tariffs, and especially demand charges, which you've already heard about a little bit. And these software solutions enable load shifting and sharing to meet your duty cycle's needs. And then regarding integration, we simply just want to integrate with your existing systems and make this transition as seamless as possible by using the management software that you already use and integrating with it. And lastly, and possibly most importantly, our operations and maintenance services really focus on ensuring reliability and uptime to your fleet. We understand that your first priority will always be maintaining your operations, and that you need to have reliable chargers to let you do that. So we have a decade of experience with this. We're our owner operator on our own public network. And so in that sense, we only ever made money when people were able to charge on our chargers and they were up and running. And so our incentives are directly aligned with customers for maintaining uptime. And we have a laser focus on this when it comes to providing it to our fleet customers. We perform proactive monitoring, preventative maintenance, remote troubleshooting, and service level agreements to ensure that fleets have the reliability that they need for their operational success. And so those are the core pieces of our turnkey solution that we provide. I also want to highlight that we can provide that with flexible cost structures to help meet your company's financial objectives and constraints. So either the customer can own the charging infrastructure and EVGo can provide all of the services that I've just gone through, or we can provide charging as a service. Charging as a service can help reduce the upfront capital required to purchase chargers, and instead the customer can pay a monthly rate that bundles all of the capital costs as well as the annual operating costs into a monthly fee. And so lastly, I'm going to leave you with this checklist, which can help you in the planning process think through what we believe are the key elements for successful fleet electrification. We've already talked through many of these details, but I will leave you with a few parting thoughts. So first off, you do not have to do your fleet electrification alone. We have a decade of experience. We want to share it with you and we can help you figure out your process. Second, not all your charging has to happen at a depot. You have other options, and it can help expand the range of your fleet. Thirdly, we encourage you to take a vehicle and hardware agnostic approach to meeting your operational needs and ensuring your success. And lastly, we encourage you to focus first and foremost on reliability. For you to be successful, your chargers have to be reliable. And so we're happy to talk about any more of these in any more detail, but we have built in some time for questions if there are any. And I'll do the standard count to 3 before moving it along, but Molly, did any come up in the chat?
Nope.
Well, in that case, I'll leave our contact information up here. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikhita. So next up, we have Mike Battaglia of Blink.
All right, thank you. All right. All right, good to go? Can you guys see that yet?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes,
Okay,
looks
great.
good.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, so sort of, I guess there's one other company after me, so we're kind of batting cleanup here. Obviously, first three presentations were really impressive, so I think I'll try to take maybe just a slightly different tack to it. My name is Mike Battaglia. I am Senior Vice President of Sales and Business Development for Blink, and again, like the others, very excited to be here today, and I think this will be relatively brief. So just touching a little bit about Blink. We are headquartered in Miami Beach, Florida, so we're a US company. We were founded in 2009, so going into our 12th year, basically in our 12th year of business, which I often say in the EV world is like dog years, right? Because the market has really not matured until very, very recently. So the, call it first 10 years of the company's existence was a lot of learning, a lot of refining, and a lot of developing what we thought the market needed in terms of hardware, software, et cetera. So just a few highlights about the company. Since the company's founding, we've sold or deployed almost 9,000. In fact, it's probably over 9,000 residential charging stations to date. We have, again, probably now approaching 6,000 commercial EV charging stations in more than 40 states now. Since our inception, about 24,000 charging stations deployed throughout the US, and we currently have nearly 200,000 individual consumers that are part of the Blink network. So those are folks that have downloaded our app, that use the app to locate charging stations. The other thing that we like to note, for whatever it's worth, is that Forbes just named us one of the top 100 best small companies in America. So we were very excited about that. It's a kind of a combination of growth rate and employee feedback and things like that. So definitely exciting times, as it is for all of the companies on this call. One of the things that makes us unique is that we're vertically integrated on the level 2 side. So our level 2 charger, which I'll talk about in a moment, which is really the heart and soul of Blink, we designed it, we developed it, we contract manufacture it with a partner. We also own and operate the software network, as others do on this call. The one thing that I'd like to just emphasize is that Blink likes to go to market as a very flexible company. So we have flexible business models, but beyond that, the hardware and the software is also flexible, meaning if you have a particular operator software network and you want to incorporate Blink hardware into that network, we can do that. If you want to onboard other companies' hardware onto the Blink network, you can do that. So again, we like to talk about flexibility as the cornerstone of the company. This has already been covered at the beginning, so I won't spend any time on this. I wasn't sure how much information was going to be shared up front. So I think we touched on this in terms of the differences between level 1, level 2, and DC fast. So I'll go into Blink hardware solutions that are really ideal for fleets. So first of all, the IQ200 is our level 2 AC level 2 charging station that we have been selling for 2 years now. And I'm going to go into what makes this product unique, what makes it special, and why it has driven Blink's growth to date. The second product is the portable IQ200M. And this is a really interesting product. It was designed and developed specifically for fleet and roadside assistance applications. It's a gasoline powered generator that is connected to an EV charging station. So the intent of this is to try to keep mobile charging cost effective. Typically, battery solutions are a multiple in terms of cost compared to this product. So as an example, this product is $6,500 MSRP, and it is being deployed among roadside assistance companies, being deployed at car dealerships, and being deployed within fleets. And then similar to others on the call, we have a line of DC fast chargers. These range anywhere from 50 kilowatts up to 175 kilowatts. Next year will be north of 200. They have some unique features like very, very small footprints, simultaneous charging, and others. One thing about Blink is that our sweet spot is small to medium-sized fleet applications. And what we really strive to do is find the right mix in equipment and functionality that a small to medium-sized fleet is interested in. So as an example of that, fleets, I think, as they're entering into electrification, immediately pivot to DC fast charging. And while that is absolutely necessary for fleets, and I don't want to minimize it in any way, shape, or form, one of the things that we try to do is optimize the budgets that a smaller, medium-sized fleet have available. So yes, DC fast charging or level 3 charging is absolutely necessary. But finding the right mix between DC fast and level 2, we think, is extremely important. And knowing that things like cycle times and time on road are paramount to fleets, but so is the costs that you have to work with and the budget constraints that you operate in. So finding the right balance between cost-effective level 2 and more costly, but obviously faster DC fast charging is one of the things we do quite well. So when we talk about our level 2 solution, we were the first ones in the US to introduce an 80 amp, 19.2 kilowatt level 2 charger. So this is a product that we designed and developed ourselves. And we did so because we are an owner operator of these charging stations around the country. So we have thousands of them that we have installed, that we own, that we operate. And so we designed it, quite frankly, with ourselves in mind, in the sense that we needed to deploy a charging station that was at the very top of the level 2 technical specification, and that also had the quality and the robustness so that we wouldn't be servicing our own equipment repetitively out in the market and driving up our own warranty costs. So again, we designed this with ourselves in mind. It has a lot of flexibility in terms of how it can be deployed. So it can be wall mounted. It can be set up on a pedestal, as you see in the picture. It can also be set up in some innovative ways, like on a light pole or a utility pole, as you can see in this photo with our light pole kit. So when you consider installation and future proofing of some of this equipment, while you may not have 100 amp circuits available to optimize a charging station like this, the charger itself is flexible enough to connect to any size circuit. So if you wanted to start today on a 40 amp or 50 amp circuit, through programming, simple software programming, the charger can be coupled to that 40 or 50 amp circuit. And then in the future, if you wanted to invest more in your electrical infrastructure and you wanted to upgrade the speed of the charger, you're upgrading the electrical infrastructure to the spot as opposed to going out and buying all new equipment. So again, the charger itself can accommodate the power that's available on site. There's also some unique features like local load management, which has to do with multiple chargers being connected to the same circuit, and then how the chargers share power between vehicles that are connected to them if they're connected simultaneously. I touched on this earlier, but again, the flexibility of Blink in terms of our hardware and our software, the chargers are OpenADR 2.0B certified. and again, OCPP compliant. So we, again, like to talk about flexibility so that our customers are not boxed into just our solution, but they can flex and they can pivot over time. So in terms of the mobile charging station, you can see a photo of this mounted on the back of a utility truck, again, gasoline powered. And one of the advantages to that, again, is that if I am deploying this mobile charging station and I need to be out on the road for an extended period of time, once that gas tank is depleted, I can easily just go to the nearest gas station, fill it back up, and I'm back out on the road. It can charge for 10 hours continuously. It's a 9.6 kilowatt charging unit, which is really quite fast. If you think about it, most 40 amp chargers, fixed chargers, are charging at about 7.2 kilowatts. So our mobile charging station can run up to 9.6 kilowatts. It is Wi-Fi enabled. So if you wanted to keep track of energy dispensed and all of the different metrics that are included within the software networks, software and capabilities, you can do that once the unit connects back to a Wi-Fi signal, either back at your facility or if your particular vehicle is Wi-Fi enabled. So I think there's been plenty discussed about software networks. And again, Blink owns and operates our own software network. And I think that the key is you need to just know and understand what type of data, if any, that you require out of the chargers. And at first, you may not require any data out of the chargers, and you may set them up to be what we called dumb chargers. But if you do want analytics coming out of the chargers, then you obviously want them to be networked, which the IQ200 line and our DC fast charger line, et cetera, are all network chargers. And again, they connect either via cellular or via Wi-Fi if cellular signals are not strong enough. So really, at the end of the day, we think we have a really nice line of hardware that can address this small to medium size fleet needs in a very cost-effective way in appropriately deploying level 2 mobile charging and DC fast charging in order to understand how we can save money, especially on dwell times and overnight charging, things like that. Local load management, I mentioned, I talked about our software network. And if you're interested in talking to us further, we can talk about the flexible business models that we have available. We're doing some kind of interesting pilot work in this area. So beyond just selling hardware or beyond subscription programs and charging as a service, we have some other things that we think you might find pretty interesting as well. So that closes it out on my side. So thanks again.
Thanks, Mike. Next up, we have Tom Anthony with Oncor.
Hello, this is Lisa.
I'm up there.
Yes.
Okay, can y'all see that?
We can.
Okay, very, very good. First of all, let me get into the commercial. I don't know how many of y'all are aware of Oncor. I know we are. We're the biggest utility in Texas, and by utility, I mean we're the biggest delivery company. We don't own energy, we only deliver it. We're the UPS as opposed to your Amazon packages. Those are the fun facts about us, and there's an outline of the state that we go all the way to New Mexico, Middle and Odessa, Permian Basin area, all the way to Oklahoma, down to Austin, and back around and deep into East Texas. So that is the little commercial. What I was asked to talk to you all about was, what do you need to do to get your electrical, your charging station service if you're working with Oncor. And I think the key thing that I just mentioned there is that, number one, you work with your utility. And we'll get into some details here. This should be very quick unless y'all have a lot of questions. But the three key contacts are your Oncor company rep, who is our new construction management group. And the premier person we'd have doing this is Eric Daniels, but Eric is out of pocket right now, but there's his contact information. And then Scott Bombach, who I believe is on the call. So Scott, if you need to come in and answer any questions, just let me know. Line up your engineering firm and line up all contractors, your electrician, whoever you need, unless of course you get a Freewire, in which case you don't need a whole lot of electrical work done, as I learned from Dave today. So this is the contacts for the project. These are who you need to have lined up. And then you need to determine what kind of projects. Are you going to install in buildings? And what kind of vehicles are you doing? Are you doing just sedans, or are you doing delivery vehicles, such as an Amazon might do or UPS might do? Or are you going as large as a Class 8 semi-truck? And believe me, we've been talked to by people that are doing all of these. And then you need to decide what kind of charger you want. Now we've heard several good topics today on fast chargers. We've heard the last Blink one, basically on a level 2 charger. And just because you are a fleet does not mean that you're going to need a fast charger. If you are a company that basically works an 8 to 5 type job, but you have a lot of company vehicles, sedans, or even if there's some delivery kind of vehicles, you can probably bring them in and put them on a level 2 type charger, and it'll be ready to roll the next morning when you roll out again. And what we would also ask is if it is possible that you have a managed charge, that you work in such a way as to be able to charge during off hours so that it does not impact the company peak. Even though we realize this is not always possible. This is something we ask, but this is not required. And to me, this is one of the biggest ones right here. When do you do this? You have project milestone dates are always key, but it'd be handy to know when you're breaking ground, when you think your electric vehicles and your chargers are arriving. And before when you're in discussions, we ask that you contact Oncor immediately, as I said initially, and that you allow us at least 6 months before you need the chargers to be installed and hooked up. Plus, we ask that an additional month be given for every additional megawatt of power that is needed, because we have we have several fleet areas in the city, and I'll talk about that in a minute, where they are in a congested area and they will need to, there's the potential that infrastructure is going to need to be upgraded. There's even the bigger potential that maybe even substations are going to need to be put in. If you get a megawatt and a half charger to charge a semi truck, and you have 20 or 30 semi trucks coming in, you're going to need to do a great deal of groundwork, which might be increasing the size of transformers in an existing substation, or which might be maybe even another substation is going to have to be built. So what we ask, that key line is at the bottom. Please don't say that you need it tomorrow, but please, even when you're thinking about it, contact Oncor at one of the addresses that I gave you below and we will work with you. We're trying to get ahead of this game, but we realize this is one that can get away from us pretty quickly if the situation arises, such as needing something very quickly. So please work with us on this, and we will do what we can to work with y'all. And one thing I want to say, a device that has been developed in-house is called our green fleet tool. And what it does, we have located areas around the city where various warehouses are, which might right now have diesel trucks, or probably do, or even gasoline powered vehicles, which might have diesel semi trucks, which if this ever changes and you electrify, which I think with the cost of everything coming down, this is going to be the future, is going to be electric vehicles and electric trucks. And if you ever electrify, if you come to us and say where your warehouse is located, we can locate it on this tool, which is a tool of the Oncor service area. We can show what substation it's connected to, over what circuit, and what upgrades might be needed depending on how fast you plan on growing your fleet into the electric side of the business. So we ask that you get with us. We have some tools here to help, and that we will work with you over probably a pretty long process, because with the cost of the upfront cost of the vehicles now, I doubt it's going to be able to do an immediate turnover. So we ask that you get with us, and that you get with contractors, get with your engineering firm to work with us, and we will do what we can to help you get your fleet electrified. Really, that is all I had. And Scott, is there anything that you want to add to this?
Just real quickly, Tom. First, I just want to say thank you for leading that presentation. Just so everybody knows, Oncor has recognized, the explosiveness of this market, and we are ramping up our resources to address that. So I think, I think if we had this conversation 6 months from now, I think you'd see a lot more names on the list, a lot more contact names. We probably see a lot more of them with PE behind them. So that's coming. We're definitely gearing up for this. And then just to reiterate what Tom said, and the reason we want you to get with us early is because some of these larger fleets are going to, possibly could require off-site improvements to the distribution system, or even substation transformers. And some of that stuff's long lead time items, as you know. So yeah, just reach out to us as quick as you can. We can, get those conversations kicked off. We'll get with our planning department and that whole engineering department and determine if we have any offsite requirements that we need to be aware of, and then we will help you get your service. We'll work with you on project timelines, on meeting all your milestones, and getting, so we can help you be successful with your project. So very much looking forward to it, and we're definitely ramping up to help. Thank you.
We just ask that you work with us and that you give us time.
Right.
Those are probably the two main things there. Are there any questions from the audience group out there of anything that has been mentioned today? We think we did the who, what, and why. So
can you put your contact information up there again?
yes.
Thank you.
These are the two. That's Eric Daniels, but this is his email, and then Scott is who just talked. These are two new construction management folks, and Scott's kind of helping back Eric up right now while Eric's out of pocket. And so I think that these are two key folks. And as Scott said, we will make sure to get in the right hands. We'll check out against the green tool. We will get with our planning group, and we will do what we can to get you the appropriate electricity in the appropriate amount of time.
we seem to have a quiet group today. Here's your chance to ask some questions of the experts.
Well, let me say I'm pinch hitting today, so in no way am I an expert, but Scott's here. Thank goodness. I feel a lot better.
Well, Scott, I have a question for you. So what are some mistakes that you've seen fleets make as they're trying to plan their infrastructure and work with you guys?
What mistakes have they made?
Right.
Right. It's more of challenges. Sometimes one thing we need to know up front is, especially if there's a fulfillment center or something going in addition to just the fleet part. Are we going to have separate services for that or not? That's something we'd like to know early on. Just it's more of a coordination thing than anything. It really is, because we're going to meet your demand needs as far as your megawatts and what you need make your system perform. So it's just a matter of coordination, man. It's all it really. That's what it all boils down to. It's what most of the things we do. People on this call is about getting things coordinated. So no really big mistakes. I mean, sometimes people do come to us a little bit late, and we have to kind of hustle up a little bit and kind of get put it in high gear. But we're willing to do that. But just sooner the better, because if they're big, we are there's a chance, not always, but there's a chance there could be some offsite work to do, and we just want to make sure we can accommodate y'all the time. So.
Amy, let me add on to this is that so far the fleets have not been overwhelming coming to us. We have had some contacts about some names that everyone would know, but it's not going to be all done overnight. It's going to be, they're going to add a little bit here, they're going to add a little bit there, and they have come and they have visited with us. So we feel very comfortable with what we're working with. We're just trying to get the word out. Please contact us. Please work with us, and we feel that we can accommodate you in a timely fashion. But the earlier we know, the better things will be. And I agree with Scott. I think this list will get longer, but we've started, and we're just trying to keep our head above the water right now. But in our benefit, fortunately, the fleets have not come overwhelmingly, but I think it's going to pick up pace, maybe very rapidly.
Amy, I'd like to turn that question to the rest of the presenters too. For the charging companies that spoke today, what pitfalls have you all seen from some of your fleet customers that you would advise the fleets on the phone today or on the line today to make sure they avoid? Any themes or common missteps in particular?
This is Mike from Blink. I think there's two things that we've seen. One of them is similar to what Joe and Scott are talking about, is understanding what your installation costs will be as early as possible. Because oftentimes what happens is fleets will contact an EVSE company first, which is fine. There's no issue with that. But they kind of get very fixated on the hardware, and then they kind of backtrack and look at the installation, and then the installation costs are perhaps more than they anticipated, and then it kind of starts to delay everything, right? So I would just encourage everyone to bring in both pieces of it as early as possible so that you understand the full picture. I think the second piece of it is kind of goes back to what I was talking about, but it's really understanding how much money you have to work with and what is the optimal mix of product, because you may only need one DC fast charger and a bank of level 2s, or you may need more than that. But the point is, you don't want your fleet to get caught in a situation where you don't have enough chargers to obviously to get your fleet out on the road in a timely fashion. So taking advantage of things like overnight charging is super important. And then how do you effectively do that?
And this is Mike with ChargePoint. I would just like to piggyback off of what Mike and Scott and others have said here is just, really leverage these EVSE, manufacturers. Mike with Blink, Dave with Freewire and myself. I mean, leverage us because we've got, ChargePoint's got teams that can help, put a plan together for everyone, because that's something that's not understood initially, as Mike said. What's the infrastructure cost going to look like? What type of vehicles do you have now or looking to deploy? Because to his point, to start out, you may not need, multiple fast chargers. So just really leverage the relationships with the EVSE suppliers, and they should be able to help steer the perfect solution for your particular setup.
And this is Molly from EVGo. I can also chime in on one pitfall, and something we recommend is not treating your operations and maintenance plan as an afterthought. It does not go without saying that you will have reliable equipment and reliable solutions, and ensuring that your charging equipment is up and running to meet your operational needs is essential, especially in the early days when you're proving out proof of concept to your to the leaders in your organization, and showing that an electrified fleet can meet your company's needs. It's really, really important to ensure your chargers are working as they should. So having a plan from day one on ensuring those are going to be well maintained and operational is very important.
This is Lori at NCTCOG, DFW Clean Cities. I have a technical question. I think I heard at least once the term OCPP compliant. Can somebody give the elevator speech of what that means and why it's important?
So it stands for Open Charge Point Protocol, and it is an industry standard that enables equipment to connect to various EVSE software networks. Now, there is integration that needs to be done along those lines through APIs and things like that. But many of us actually, even on this call, have compatibility agreements with one another that allow our hardware to work on each other's software networks and things like that. So it's just important, I think, to, as a consideration to look at open equipment that has open standards, or software that has open standards. It gives you the flexibility to pivot, should you want to at any point in time, whether it is on the software side or whether it is on the hardware side.
Thank you.
I have a question for the charging providers on the call. Where do you see vehicle to grid services, like the state of that in Texas right now? And, is that something you're thinking about providing in the future, or what is the kind of state of both the technology and offerings?
Vehicle to grid will be on Freewire's roadmap, not available probably till 2022, but it's a model that we're working with, and it'll play into the vehicles that will allow their energy to be passed on to the grid. And there's probably a few other components. We're not there yet, but we are sure actively going that route.
Yeah, I think all of us would echo exactly what Dave just said. I think one of the really exciting more near-term technologies is, and Dave, this is where I start to stretch my technical knowledge. What is it, 15.11.8, plug and charge? So I think everybody's probably, going to be implementing plug and charge, in advance of V2G would be my guess.
Noah, from an Oncor perspective, we have installed a V2G device at our system operating services facility down south of Dallas. So it's purely for us to test some of our vehicles out. There's only a limited number of vehicles that will do it right now, but we have a couple of Nissan Leafs down there, and that's one of the vehicles that can do this. And we're just gonna try to learn a little bit from it by utilizing it. In fact, the guru over it is on this call. I see Randy Boyes down there. Randy, if you want to say anything about that. Maybe he doesn't. That's unusual.
Not a lot to say. Howdy, Tom. We do also, I'll give a pat on the back to the COG. They were instrumental in also getting some of the, I can't remember if it was Lion or Redbird buses, V2G capable buses out there in Everman ISD.
Thanks, everyone.
Savannah, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, Amy, we're right up on time. So if we want to show, if Jared wants to show that video, we have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So just one last chance for some questions. Please speak up. We had invited another charging provider. They weren't able to make it, so they did send us a video to play. So that just takes a quick couple of minutes. Also, we would like to know if the fleets in the region would like to attend a site visit to go out to a fleet's site to see some EVSE. And if you could indicate in the chat if you're interested in us putting that site visit together, we would appreciate it. And at the same time, indicate if you would prefer a virtual site visit or an in-person site visit. So if you can be chatting your responses to that. In the meantime, Jared will play this video real quick.
The EVARC 2020 is the world's fastest deployed EV charging infrastructure solution. Sustainable EV charging in minutes instead of months. Get the EV charging brand you want, factory installed and ready to charge. The EVARC is the fastest deployed, lowest total cost of ownership and most scalable solution on the market today. Rapid deployment with no permitting, no construction and no utility bill. Each EVARC generates and stores its own electricity to deliver clean, renewable energy to your EV day or night and even during inclement weather. Permanent but transportable, the EVARC can be relocated during emergencies, a change in EV driving patterns, or in the event that your first chosen location wasn't the best one. It's also perfect for lease locations because you own it, the landlord doesn't. Take it with you when you move. The EVARC is designed to fit in a standard size parking space, but you won't lose a valuable slot because vehicles park on the product's base pad. It's ADA compliant too. Because it's off-grid, your EVARC 2020 will continue to charge EVs during blackouts and grid interruptions. The emergency power panel provides vital electricity to first responders, medical workers, and citizens during times of need. The EVARC 2020 is certified to withstand winds of up to 120 miles per hour and is flood-proof up to 9.5 feet. A single EVARC 2020 can power up to 245 miles of driving on sunshine in a day, can charge up to 6 EVs at a time and reach up to 12 parking spaces. EVARCs are made in America at our factory in San Diego, California. Each unit goes through rigorous testing and quality control before leaving our facility. It will arrive at your site, fully charged and ready to provide the EV charging you need within minutes.
Thanks, Jared, for playing that. Well, if you want to hang out for a few minutes, I'm willing to hang out. If you have some questions of the presenters, go ahead and just unmute and speak up. Otherwise, thank you all so much for attending. And thank you to all the presenters for presenting.
And please note, Savannah had a link to an evaluation survey. Please don't leave without clicking on that link first. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, Nikhita, Mike and Mike, Tom. Did I get everybody? Did I leave?
And Molly.
And Molly, thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm going away.
Thank you, guys. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and end the meeting.